Morning, Dad.
Hey, going for a run?
Yeah, you should join me like you used to.
Not with my old knees and back.
Try Xanthicin. It could really help. Plus, it's super safe, Dad, and it's good for your heart and brain.
Xanthicin fights aging with astaxanthin, nature's most powerful antioxidant. And with 3 times the absorption and superior purity, it's the brand physicians trust. Find it at getxantho.com and these retailers. Keep doing what you love with Xanthicin.
All right, how's it going, everybody? It is episode 33 here on Hawaiʻi Football. Now, is it 33? Did I lose count? No, 33. I had to make sure in my notes. We're getting up to the point where it's like, wow, we can't believe that we have made it this far. But here we are, back on another episode of HFN, presented by Xanthicin. Jordan Helle, Hunter Hughes, back with you for another midweek recording of this. It is Wednesday at about 12:30 in the afternoon as we record to release this tomorrow, April 14th. Want to give a big mahalo also to our other sponsors, Spectrum Mobile and Hawaii USA FCU as well. Hunter, my man, how's it going? We got a lot to get to in this episode. We are nearing the Island Day spring game coming up this Saturday, which again is free. We will get into some of the details as we go throughout, maybe some of the wish list items we would like to see included. One thing we do know that's going to be included, it'll be like a free Rebel SoulJahz concert, which that in itself is like worth the trip to the University of Hawaii to go along with the spring game, with all the keiki zone, all that kind of stuff. But how pumped are you for this? Just preliminarily, as we'll spend a little more time on this in depth later on.
Oh, I'm stoked, man. I think it's going to be a Chi-Hoo fest. Don't give the boys an opportunity to Chi-Hoo. You know, nothing like the Rebel SoulJahz out there to get them going. So it's going to be fun to be down there with the team, with the fans. Hopefully, generate some buzz with some season ticket holders that we lost. You know, during the COVID era, the Todd Graham era. If you find yourself listening to this episode, this Saturday is truly a once in a year opportunity to come down, be around the team, speak with coaches. It's going to be an ohana. You know, Timmy's done a great job branding this year in this program under this brotherhood kind of mentality and spirit. And come down and be a part of it. It's free for everyone. The kids are welcome again. COVID is over again. It's still affecting our lives in some ways, but gone are the days of you must be a certain height or age limit to come watch the Bows. Everyone is welcome. It's going to be a great time to be around University of Hawaii football this Saturday.
It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. It really is. So again, we'll save a little more deep discussion on that as we move throughout. We kind of wanted to get into a little bit of a I don't know if anybody played Roller Coaster Tycoon, like when it was a game, you get to build your own theme park. Hunter and I want to kind of go ahead and build our own spring game atmosphere. And I'm going to imagine that a lot of our wish list is probably going to cross over with what the good folks at the university are doing as well. All right, quick opening drive to get this podcast started here on episode 33 of Hawaiʻi Football. Now, how about Amy Atwell? We got to give a shout out. Just the second ever Rainbow Wahine basketball player to be drafted into the WNBA. And obviously the storied program at the University of Hawaii goes far beyond the advent of the WNBA. 1997, of course, was the first year they held the draft. But since then, only she and Judy Mosley, like that is pretty darn cool. Third round, 29th overall. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's not like it's a 30-team first round. She's the 29th overall player taken. No shoe in to make the roster or anything like that, but she's got a chance. And especially the way she shoots the ball, man, that's a commodity that travels, that is valuable. Derek Fisher, the GM and head coach for the Sparks, talking her up. That was big news and just quite awesome for Laura Beeman's program. And I think it's one of those things, not just for the women's basketball program, but for like the University of Hawaii athletics program, right? It's a big deal. You get somebody drafted into the WNBA. Yeah, that's great PR for everybody that's got a little stake in the athletics program.
Totally. I mean, if anyone knows the long range jumper, it's Derek Fisher. So obviously Amy must get hot from downtown, which we've all seen these last couple of years at UH. But they think she can do it at the next level. And let me just say, I got invited to play with the Wahine basketball team a couple of times just in practice. They needed someone to give them a good look. Those girls are tough, man. Let me just say, throwing elbows, pulling hair. They were rough, man.
Not for the
Like,
weak-hearted.
oh my
You
goodness.
gotta go into
It was
play.
like 7 a.m. They just needed, they literally needed someone to be able to dribble both directions and try to break a press. And I was getting beat up, Jordan, by the girls basketball team. These girls are tough, man. So I have a deep affinity for that team and those girls. I'm stoked that one like Amy got an opportunity at the next level. Wish her all the best.
Yeah, it's big. That women's basketball program coming off a Big West championship, a trip to the NCAA tournament where Amy Abel dropped a huge number on Baylor. They end up losing by quite a bit, but I'm sure that Baylor game probably helped the resume as well in the draft stock. But they're also getting the Big West Freshman of the Year transferring home from Fullerton. Lily Wahine Kapu, the Iolani graduate, is coming back home to play with her younger sister, Jovi Lefotu Wahine Kapu. And that is big news as well. Again, she was the Big West Freshman of the Year. She averaged like 20 points a game or something like that for Fullerton. So that's big as they build the sisterhood, right?
Yeah.
That is
Ooh,
everybody's on board. I'm telling you, man, the football thing got something going, and it is rolling there on Lower Campus. So I wanted to give a huge shout out to Amy Atwell as well as the women's basketball program. They got good things going there. Laura Beeman finding a little renewed momentum, I think, after some early success during her tenure there with the University of Hawaii. So that's a good segue into more transfer news. Big recruiting news for the University of Hawaii. Another former ILH All-Star, a former All-Stater, is also coming home for the football team. You got Lily Wahine Kapu, we mentioned, from Cal State Fullerton to the Wahine basketball team, but you also got former Punahou product 2019 Buff and Blue grad Kaulana Makaula is transferring home from USC. USC, the University of Southern California. He's reportedly joining the team this summer. Played last year at inside linebacker, was recruited as a defensive back, spent his first couple of years in LA as a safety, moved down into that second level, a little closer to the line of scrimmage. He goes about 6'3". I think he played at like 220 last year coming out of high school. He was like 180, 185, right? Kind of that hybrid guy. Safety can help you down in the run support as well. Entered the transfer portal back in January. You remember all of the coaching changes that USC went through, right? With the firing of Clay Helton under an interim coach, and then Lincoln Riley comes in. Like, they've gone through all kinds of stuff. And so Kaulana, who, fair to point out, didn't play a ton. He didn't play a ton in his 3 years at USC. Played some spot duty, never recorded double-digit tackles in a season, but does have a ton of experience. Finished with 3 tackles in 2021 in a reserve role. But he has 3 collegiate seasons remaining. Like, he's got a ton of eligibility left. And he's a guy who projects to compete maybe at one of those hybrid positions. I think Steven Tsai reported that he's looking to compete at nickelback, right? So he's going to be playing in the slot. He can play up near the line of scrimmage. He can help with the run game. He can drop off a la Corey Bethley, maybe something like that, right? This dude's bigger than Bethley is. I'm not saying he's going to be Corey Bethley, but, in similar points on the defense and trying to attack. And he's another local kid who was a 3-star recruit, who was a big-time recruit coming out of high school, went to USC Pac-12, and now he's coming home. This, whatever it works out to be, that's a pretty big get for Coach Chang and the Bulls.
Huge. And now you start to see the defense really starting to get rounded out. We got the kid from Oregon just a couple weeks ago. We had the transfer from Nebraska earlier this year. Couple DBs are peppering in there from big time programs like Iowa State. I'm not saying they're filling the shoes yet of a Darius Muasau or a Corey Bethley, because you got to respect game. Just because they come from a bigger school than us doesn't mean they're going to get it done here. I was just speaking with RJ Hollis about that on the sideline. With all the years that he and I have been around the program, we've only seen a couple guys from big time programs actually work out for us. Doesn't always mean grit. It doesn't always mean great, being a great teammate. All of that goes hand in hand with great performance on the field. But it does always look good, especially for these guys coming home. They could have gone elsewhere in the transfer portal. Something about coming home and being a part of what Timmy Chang is creating is certainly significant, Jordan. So I'm very optimistic looking at the defensive side of football now. And at the beginning, I was quite worried.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point by you, right? It doesn't always work out, and there's no way to know until you get the guy in the building. How does he translate? How does he fit in, right? And I think being local kids, right? You mentioned Wyndon Ho'ohuli, the young man coming back from Nebraska, former Mililani product. There's probably an easier transition there, no doubt. But at the very least, they are bringing in guys of a certain caliber, of a certain profile to fill needs, right? As you pointed out, right? They got a huge hole at middle linebacker. They got a big need at the safety nickel position. They got a big need on the defensive line. So they're bringing in guys at the very least to address those holes, right? And you like to see that. And if they've got Power 5 experience, doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt at all. And another guy that they're bringing in, Etuate Moala, 6'3", about 285-pound defensive lineman, I think, who projects to play a little bit more on the interior, maybe 3-tech. But he's a guy who's got experience all over the defensive line. He is another interesting prospect that will join a little later in the process as well. He's a young man from Riverside, California, originally committed to Army out of high school, and actually went to West Point, enrolled in the prep school, which a lot of kids do, right? When they go to the military academies, you play a year or two at the prep school, transition yourself almost more so academically into the full-fledged academy. But he was at the prep school for 2 years. I believe he played one, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't able to double check on that, but he spent 2 years at the academy, which again is not a junior college. It's not a full-blown 4-year institution. So he's got 5 seasons to play 4 years. He's 2 years removed from high school. So he's bigger, he's mature, he's got a taste of post-high school ball, but he's got a ton of eligibility left. And so here's a guy who, look, he was wanted by Army. He went there, right? But it didn't work out for whatever reason. Obviously some ties to the West Coast, ties to Hawaii, right? Another Polynesian kid coming out of Southern California. And so another position that, I think you've pointed out a number of times, Hunter, and other observers as well. It's like, hey, more beef on that defensive line won't hurt. And Moala, at the very least, provides some of that depth and size up front, and hopefully he turns into a dude. But as it seems like every week we're getting word that this coaching staff has secured somebody else, right? One guy here, 2 guys here, and some intriguing names, some intriguing profiles, as well as, I think, importantly, as you've circled, Hunter, positions of need.
Yeah, totally. And to kind of backtrack into our archives of episodes back when Coach Yoro and Coach Abe were on our show, they mentioned how big the transfer portal is to our strategy in recruiting. And in years past, we might have been lucky to get one of these guys, perhaps 2, but I mean, we've listed 4 or 5 guys already from, if not Power 5, definitely a group of 5 looking for another opportunity and coming back to Hawaii. So yeah, we're capitalizing. It speaks to the aggression on this coaching staff, because this doesn't just happen by accident. These guys are getting phoned by our coaches. Just to speak a little bit to those listening, how does that sort of thing work? Our coaches are working day in, day out, not only to get ready schematically for the season, but to put the proper pieces in the right places come game day. And it just speaks to the aggression, I would say, from this coaching staff. And then when you're down there on the field, the spirit that's down there is just fantastic. And yeah, it's yet to be seen if they're going to translate to wins. But on the defensive side of the football, Jordan, I'm stoked right now. I really am.
Yeah, it's exciting, right? It's exciting. They're bringing in some dudes. They've got a nice thing growing. I think that can kind of lead us into the next topic here. some of your observation. I know you got a chance to go down yesterday. That would have been
Yeah.
Tuesday, the first practice of this week. And obviously they're gearing up for Saturday in the spring game. But, just some observations that you had, or some thoughts maybe that you wanted to share with the good folks out there after taking in another day of spring practice.
Yeah, absolutely. My enthusiasm for the defense is married with what I saw yesterday at practice. The DBs played fantastic. Stoked that we have Coach Abe back there on the DBs. If you recall, he was coaching the running backs this past fall. They owned the offense on Tuesday. Couldn't be more happy with what I'm seeing on the defensive side. Again, they were in what we call pajamas, so just kind of soft shoulder pads and helmets. So there wasn't really full contact hitting. So you didn't really get a good taste of what our run game or what our defensive line looks like at this current moment. But Dedrick Parsons looked phenomenal out there running the football. Again, this is where my eyes automatically go to, is the quarterbacks and the receivers. Still not really a signified number one at quarterback right now. A lot of guys sharing reps. Cameron Cooper, Brandon Shager, Armani Eden getting in there. And so it's still kind of a good place. If you come to the practice this Saturday, you're going to see a lot of guys take a lot of reps and fighting for a job right now. However, I will say one job that is locked up is Shipley at our kicker, who was hitting absolute nukes. From 35, 40 yards was clearing the net. And if you've been down to Ching, brand new bleacher complex is behind on what would be the Diamond Head side of the field, clearing the net by a good 10 yards, and you hear the clang up into the bleachers, which is always fun to hear. So stoked with what I'm seeing overall.
Yeah, that's good here. That I think that's really fun to visualize. Okay, how's this going to play out, right? How is some of this momentum off the field going to be carried onto the field, and seeing, okay, who's going to start winning some of these battles, who's going to start emerging. And I think, we talked about this a little bit last week, but we will get a very good indication, or at least a clearer indication come Saturday, as to, okay, who's getting the reps, right? Who's going out there with the first team unit, who's going out there with the second team unit. Situationally, what do things look like in the spring game? I think we'll be able to at least assess a little further.
Contact too. It'll be full contact. Guys will be hitting, blocking, getting through blocks, linebackers meeting running backs. It's going to be real football. Obviously, it's your teammate. You're not wanting to take anybody's head off. At least I wasn't, and hoping they weren't wanting to do the same to me. But again, it's been a long spring, and could even tell on Tuesday, you kind of get tired of some guys. So I know some guys are antsy and excited to strap it on and get pounding a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. It wouldn't be spring practice if there weren't a few, little dust ups, or whatever the nice way of putting it is. That's just the nature of the beast when it comes down to it. All right, wrapping things up on the first half of episode 33 here on HFN. But Hunter, how's the joint and muscle function these days? I know you're out hitting the links. You're down there at practice, probably doing wind sprints up and down because of your excitement when you get a chance to go watch some of these spring practices. But how's the joint and muscle function, you would say, as a retired Division I athlete?
Well, you know what? I've had to work really hard and watch what I eat now that I've cracked the old 30 on the old year spectrum. And now that I'm in my 30s, I have to be very conscious of that. And
there you go.
Our good friends over at Astaxanthin actually gave me a complimentary bottle. This is unsolicited.
Bingo.
This is completely honest. I've tried it, Jordan. Gives you a little perk, man. I'm not going to lie.
There you go. Start feeling a little limber.
A little bit helps.
That's right. We're talking joint and muscle function improvement, good for your cholesterol health, your cognitive function, even touted for its anti-aging qualities. This is, of course,
we both know I could use. So
same here. Our good friends over at Astaxanthin. Only one brand, though, delivers 3 times more astaxanthin, and that is our good friends at Xanthicin, available at getxantho.com, Newtown Square Pharmacy, Down to Earth Kaka'ako, GNC stores statewide, and Pharmacare Hawaii as well. Learn more at getxantho.com. You can visit them again at getxantho.com. All right, second half coming up. We will dive headlong into the spring game coming up on Saturday, what we'd maybe like to see for the folks that get a chance to go down and attend throughout the most of the day, really, on Saturday. So second half coming up here on Hawaii Football Now.
This is Hawaii Football Now from ESPN Honolulu.
All right, second half time. Jordan Hunter back with you. And so, Hunter, we were talking about it, right? Here on the first half of the episode, again, episode 33, HFN, Hawaii Football Now. Roller Coaster Tycoon, I don't know if you really played it. It's fun, right? Or any of those sort of build your adventure type of games. You could build your own theme park. That was the whole thing, right? You build your theme park, make money, expand, build an empire, things of that nature. And so I kind of wanted to take that general idea and throw it at you, because we've got the spring game coming up this Saturday, right? The Island Day spring game, how they're terming it, right? It is an experience. It is not just go to watch a football game. They got a Rebel SoulJahz concert. They got a keiki zone. They got like a beer garden. They got all kinds of things lined up to make it as fan friendly as possible, to make it as family friendly as possible. And so with that, we hope comes a huge attendance, right? They really haven't had a chance to fill Ching to capacity at all, right? That last year they had some restrictions, then some lighter restrictions, and then some things opened up, but they couldn't serve anything besides water. So in the final home game of the year, I don't really count that. And so this is really the first full go. Like, this is the first full go experience for Hawaii football on campus in Manoa. And Lower Campus got a little bit of a stress test last weekend, right? Last week, Saturday, you had men's volleyball senior night. You had a baseball game going on at just about the same time. You had a softball doubleheader. Actually, I think Saturday was a single game. But either way, you had a softball game going on that evening as well. All playing on Lower Campus, all within like a Matt Shipley kickoff away from everybody. Yeah. You had about 6,000 at volleyball, a few thousand between Murakami and Rainbow Wahine softball stadium. And so when you add all that up, that's pretty comparable to like filling Ching. And, there were some traffic issues, as one would expect. There were some late arrivals because of the traffic issues. You saw like the first set at Stan Sheriff Center for the volleyball match, and like the third set, it grew a lot. And they had just shy of 6,000 through the turnstile. And then when you add everybody in, working the game, students coming down, all those kinds of, like, it was over, 6,500 people in the arena that night, plus baseball, plus softball. So, a nice stress test, I think, for all of the logistics folks down at the University of Hawaii. We know they know that it's not easy. We know that they are well aware of, the capacity of that road, right, that leads you in, and how it's going to take. So I'm curious to see exactly how that all works out. But if it were up to you, Hunter, kind of prefacing all of this, if you had, your like Windows 96 software, and you're doing your University of Hawaii football experience tycoon, what build a workshop here. What does it look like for you? What's the vision?
I think you utilize all of Lower Campus. I think, at least in my mind, I would put the concerts, if not on the track, setting up the stage somewhere on the track at Ching Complex, maybe over on the soccer field. You've got plenty of space for families to kind of space out, just chill. And then you've got the football field up there for the kids. You could do all sorts of fun game day environments, have those guys go out for passes, do skills competitions up there. I would set up a slip and slide off of the back hill off of our field right there, and you wouldn't have anything to worry about in terms of getting the field destroyed, because spring is over. So I'm utilizing all of that first off. I'd also like to get some vendors on upper campus as well. The campus center's a short walking distance away in terms of food, beverages, things of that nature. I'd like to get people up there and open campus center up a little bit too. People are there to watch and experience football. Chances are they'd love the opportunity to buy some UH gear. I think there's opportunity for us to kind of explore all of mid to lower campus, and then obviously allow for a full or next to full capacity crowd at Ching for game day football down there. So that's kind of my vision for it, Jordan. And I don't know. And then open up all the gates. So it's just kind of this big open, come as you are, wherever you are, and let's have a good time together.
Yeah, I'm with you. Utilize as much real estate as you can for everything imaginable, right? I love like the Keiki area, right? Like let's put slip and slides out there, right? Like cardboard, whatever it is, like the outfield at Lamade Stadium in Williamsport for the Little League World Series,
exactly.
you know? And I especially, because I didn't really think about it, but I especially love the idea of incorporating, you know, upper campus, the campus center, because I think if nothing else, like you want to invite as many students as possible, right? You want all of them, whoever wants to come, to make their way down to the football field. You want them all to come down, and extending a little bit of an invitation upward, right? I think is a good way to do that, to welcome those folks in, and even all the folks who are going to be parking up yonder, right? Like people are going to have to work their way in. There's just not enough parking down there, and hopefully people can shuttle in. And again, this is a good, as much as last weekend was a little bit of a stress test for this coming weekend, like this will be a trial run for the fall for the University of Hawaii. They're going to be able to test out what works, what doesn't work, what they can improve on, what they can add, what needs to be subtracted come the home opener in late August. Like that's just the reality of it. And it's kind of a nice deal. And so I'm with you, but I would expand a little bit on tailgating's like the big thing, right? Everybody, the diehards want to know what the tailgating options are going to be. I don't really know. I cannot remember if it was official or sort of just unofficially put out there on Twitter, but I do believe the parking structure is not an option. Like that's like a liability thing or something. So I don't think tailgating will be allowed in the parking structure, which is okay because there's a lot of open space elsewhere, right? And maybe it won't be literally out the back of your tailgate, but allowing like a picnic barbecue area, whether that's the soccer field or the practice field or the softball field or the tennis courts or something. I think you gotta cater to those guys, right? You gotta be able to
parking on upper campus too.
Yeah, you gotta spread it out, right? You're gonna have to spread it out.
There's lawns, there's space up there. I've pitched that idea to anyone who will listen, that other universities around the nation just close off different parts of their campus to allow for that game day environment. We have to be creative if we're going to be hamstrung by our own parking structure. We have to. Right.
I mean, things as massive and wildly popular as like the Grove, right, in Mississippi. Like those are the things, and it doesn't have to be to that extent, but something along those lines. And then I think you've got to, I think you got to incorporate Stan Sheriff and the Murakami Stadium, right? That's got to be where your hospitality areas are. That's got to be where you can go in pregame. That's got to be for overflow crowd that, hey, maybe Ching is sold out on a certain evening, but we got nice screens at the stand, right? Put those up, get people involved. It's a whole nother atmosphere. Open up the gates there, open up the concession, open up the beer sales at both locations. I think of going to Seahawks games in Seattle. It's right next door to now T-Mobile. It used to be Safeco. And they opened that up. You go to a Seahawks game and you can go pregame at the baseball stadium right across the street. And they opened all of those up. They got certain areas. They got all kinds of things in conjunction. And I don't see why Murakami can't be that during football games, right? Like open up the concourse, get people out there. You can put a concert in there. Not necessarily for Rebel SoulJahz this weekend, but come later on, hey, put a concert down on the field, right? You let people sit in the stands, nice and free. That'll let them get well well prepared for kickoff, and then they work their way into the stadium. Again, if it's an overflow crowd or something like that, they can hang out there while the game goes on. You can hear everything from just across the way. And so I think incorporating, you got to appease the tailgaters, because those are the diehard guys, right, that went to Aloha Stadium all those years. And again, figuring out some way to allow them to bring their hibachi and their cooler and get that atmosphere going. But also the folks that, maybe don't want to go through that trouble, but they still want to pregame, for lack of a better, description. You can do that at Murakami. You can do that maybe at Stan Sheriff. If it's a little hot, you want to go inside, a little more climate controlled. You got two options there. Those are pretty good options, I think. Right. And that's where you can have some of your pre-game pageantry, right? You bring the alums in, you have them go meet the folks there. You build up some of that as it goes on, right? It's a whole operation. Like, you need all of this. And I'm with you. I think they got to maximize as much as they can, all of the space down there. Just use it all.
In the interest of Roller Coaster Tycoon, I'm going to take it just a step further in the fact that we need to get more seats for our stadium. We have a natural kind of amphitheater set up with the parking structure, and the coach's office is right there. Obviously, I'm not an engineer. We would need to make sure that those two buildings would be able to support something built on top of there. But I'm talking like another 15 rows on top of the top level of campus. And yeah, we would lose some parking up there, but the benefit would be it's already kind of set up like a stadium environment right there. We would at least get a corner right there and then wrap it around on top of the coach's offices right there. That you could easily squeeze another 2,000 seats up there easily. And you've kind of got this skybox looking over the field, kind of a feeling. It could be really cool. Yeah. And again, like, me and Jordan are trying to, for those listening at home, paint this picture of it's going to be a blast. Gone are the days of needing to be afraid. Sure, mask up, social distance, do whatever you need to be safe. But the Todd Graham era is over. The Brotherhood, Timmy Chang, Hawaii Ohana feeling of University of Hawaii football is back. I've lived through a similar transition from Chow to Rolo. It's exactly like that when you're down with this team, with this coaching staff. The players love to be there. It's going to be fantastic, guys. If you are waiting for an opportunity to come experience UH football again, this is it. Even if you only come for an hour, a half hour, something like that, come be a part of this, because what these guys have done is truly special.
Yeah, the buzz is there. I think, it's tangible. And so I got to imagine there's going to be a good crowd on Saturday. I think they've built this thing up smartly. Again, a lot of the things that, Hunter and I put on our wish list, I think there's a lot of overlap with what the football program and the athletic program are hoping to accomplish in terms of game day atmosphere. I think we're seeing that with everything that they are offering up for the Island Day spring game, right? Whether it's Rebel SoulJahz or the Keiki Zone, or, whatever that's all going to encompass, and allowing for food and beverage sales as well is a big deal, because for a while, right, even when fans were welcome back, like, you couldn't do anything but water, even on into, the winter sports season and beyond. So I think that's a massive deal. And it is, I think, as you were pointing out, people want to support, right? They want to be involved when there is excitement. They want to be part of it. They want to feel included. And I think they are doing a good job of trying to welcome people in, right? Inviting them in, trying to make them feel that inclusion. And we'll see how it all plays out on Saturday. I think that's a big deal. We usually try and get to some of the comments we get on social media, as well as YouTube and Facebook. And we had, one of our regulars, our guy Al from VA.
Brother
and then
Al.
there's also King Kato 21 who dropped us a line. So shout out to King Kato 21 on the YouTube. But he was asking, about the game being streamed, and he lives in Western New York, I guess. So shout out to the good folks in Western New York, and Al from VA, who's another guy who's, not close, can't attend, but wants to be, able to take it all in. Like, I would love to see that at some point, right? Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I work the Spectrum broadcasts for last season for the University of Hawaii, right? The Spectrum broadcasted games. So, I've been a part of those productions and whatnot. But like most schools, most big time schools, at least the Power 5 schools, right? Like their spring games are on national television,
Totally.
And Hawaii's has never been, like, it's never even been on local television or anything like that. And I get it, right? They want people to come out. It isn't necessarily the same format year in, year out as some of the bigger schools that do, different kinds of things and whatnot. But I do think getting television coverage, or, whether it's the school handling that in-house just from a streaming standpoint, and it doesn't necessarily have to be live either, if you're worried about providing incentive for people to stay away, right? That's always the argument for pay-per-view. That's a whole nother discussion for another day when it comes to the regular season. But providing something, right? And not just clips here or there, but broadcasting the game, right? Whether that's via Spectrum, whether that's an in-house sort of production for the University of Hawaii and their media department and getting kids involved or whatever. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to go about it, but I do think that, the commenters bring up a fair ask, having this thing broadcasted, having the game, and maybe it's a little ways off. Maybe it takes a little more planning and foresight to get to that point, as opposed to making it happen this year in year one under Timmy Chang. But I would love to see that. Like, I think that would be awesome, because it's not just the folks on Oahu. It's not just the folks in Hawaii, right? The fan base is spread out, and it is connected, and it is passionate. And so we mentioned that people want to feel included, right? People want to be a part of this excitement. They want to feel a part of this program. And for those that aren't able to go down in person, there's a lot more people out there that won't be able to, that for whatever reason, right? And so I think it would behoove the university to figure that out, go down the road, because especially in the spring, build up that excitement for the fall. Because as you pointed out, Hunter, right out of the gate in this episode, at the end of the day, you're also marketing yourself. You're trying to sell yourself to season ticket holders. That's right. And potential season ticket holders, and potential folks that are going to come and watch the games, potential folks who are going to, buy the pay-per-view eventually. And I know that doesn't necessarily directly go to the University of Hawaii. Support Nakoa, right? All of that. Like, you are constantly marketing yourself. That's just the nature of the business. That's the nature of the game. And so the wider reach, the more eyeballs, the bigger audience, the better.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's a great time to be around Hawaii football. It's similar to the way that Masters is this feeling of spring has arrived. New life is upon us. Winter is behind us. Let's move on into what the good Lord has for us this year. Hawaii football is definitely in progress and moving towards a bright future. At least that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It should be pretty fun, and we'll see. I'm sure some familiar faces down there on Saturday for the spring game. We'll see who maybe emerges, who has a good afternoon, who performs well. But there will be a buzz, just with all the stuff off the field. Totally. Right. And then at the end of the day, you hope that it can parlay and it can translate for sure. Again, shout outs to all the folks for tuning in, as well as the folks commenting on the YouTube, Facebook posts, the social media posts as well. One other question that came up from King Kata was mentioned. He asked about the pro day, and that was one of our better episodes, I think, because we got, not because of us, but because Coach Abe Elamimian joined us, right, in a little recap of that. And we were kind of saving a little more of the discussion as we got closer to the NFL draft, which is coming up later this month, in talking about some of the guys that went through the pro day. Does anybody have, a chance of getting drafted? Really, that's probably only Calvin Turner. But we just wanted to let everybody know that we were planning to discuss that a little more in depth once we got closer, once we kind of got through the spring game and get a little closer to the draft and whatnot. So fear not, those are topics that we plan to talk a bit more about as well. So it's a fun time. I think it is a fun time to be around this program. You saw it with Timmy Chang joining the Spectrum broadcast during the second set of the volleyball match on Saturday. I thought they played better when he was sitting courtside, so I kind of wanted him to just stay the rest of the match. They end up winning that thing in 5 over Santa Barbara. What a volleyball match that was. But just like every time he gets to speak, it's like, all right, yeah, you're ready to kind of get on board, right? You're ready to kind of back this guy. And we mentioned it. That's evidenced by folks from Western New York and the East Coast, like chiming in and consuming the content, thankfully, that we put out there. So thanks, guys. But you know, it just there's a buzz, and we'll see a bit of the fruition of that, I think, on Saturday. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll get into a little bit more of the draft stuff once we get through Saturday as well, because that'll be exciting coming up, and some other opportunities out there for dudes, as we mentioned, with the USFL starting up real soon, and the XFL just announcing some of their coaches. No June Jones, though, in the XFL coach. So a little disappointed. He had so much success in the 2.0 version, I guess. I guess this is like the third iteration of the XFL, but I digress. As we sort of head into the overtime segment of this. Hunter, do you have anything that you wanted to chime in? We spent a lot of time talking Tiger. He was a lot of fun over the weekend, but any which way you want to take us home.
Oh man, I just want to touch one more thing about Saturday. If you guys see myself, please come say hi, shake my hand. Would love to meet you guys.
Absolutely.
Jordan, are you going to be there?
No, I'm not gonna be able to make it over. I had flight wise, timing wise, it didn't work out for me. But yeah, I'm with you. I ran into a guy at Jackson and Kahului the other week, and talk story and gave us some love on the pod and to you, Hunter. So it we're always willing to talk stories. I mean, about anything really. But if you want to talk UH football, we'll talk your ear off.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you guys see myself or even our boy Jaron, our producer, please
That's
don't
right.
be a stranger. Come up, shake my hand. If you're a hugger, I'm a hugger too. Let's get the Ohana vibes going. But just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Would love to meet you guys if you guys are listening. And my overtime's, of course, the Masters, Jordan. Last week is by far my favorite week of the entire sports year. To see Tiger come back, to be courageous, make the cut. Brutal Masters conditions with 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, and then the stimp meter, which is how fast the greens are, at 14, which is basically saying that the greens were laced with lightning. That's basically what that means. And so many of the top players in the world could not break 80, except for this guy, Scotty Scheffler, who basically ran away with the tournament. So much, in fact, he won it with a 4-putt on 18, which is incredible. I wish I could 4-putt and win the Masters, Jordan. That would just be amazing. But gotta throw that out there. Did you watch the Masters too?
I did. Yeah, I watched quite a bit of it. Obviously, the Tiger effect is huge, right? And Scotty Scheffler, man, he's terrific. The run that he's been on has been incredible, incredible. But yeah, I ended up watching quite a bit of it. It was fun, and just Tiger is amazing. And just seeing him out there, and he was struggling those last 2 rounds in the body, and I can't imagine what it took for him to get through those 4 rounds. So the guy's just incredibly mentally tough, and to go out there.
I actually thought the announcers at Augusta, and of course they've been coached up, I thought they were a bit conservative when talking about Tiger. I mean, he's the GOAT, in my opinion. He's tied for the most wins of all time. Obviously, someone would say he's 3 wins shy of Jack's all-time major record. But if you look at some of the things that he's done, he's, in my mind, undisputed the best of all time. And the fact that he's still around, still fighting. I mean, it's the epitome of perseverance, toughness, courage, what have you. I might be making too much of a big deal of it, but if you've played sports and you've had serious injuries, it's so inspiring, Jordan. Every time the guy goes out there and gives it a shot, it gives you hope for humanity. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's a different buzz. There's a different electricity when he's around, and it's just cool because we don't know how many more times we're going to see it, right? I mean, that's the saga of Tiger Woods. So lot of fun over the weekend. It was a fun and nostalgic week, and to see him go out there, shoot 1 under on Thursday, incredible, just incredible. That'll do it for us on another episode. Did want to make a quick note, just a little shout out on the overtime segment that the Ed Wong Memorial Golf Tournament put on earlier this week by Nakua. The group sold out, and it looked like a blast. I was seeing some of the Instagrams and the tweets and some of the official stuff put out there by some of the coaches as well. It looked like a good time, and that's good to see. That's good to see, and money being raised for the program as well. So that momentum, hopefully it carries over to Saturday. Enjoy that, Hunter. We'll be looking forward to your report from the spring game come next week when we rejoin you for episode 34 next week on Hawaiʻi Football Now. Again, we've been presented by Xanthison, and a huge mahalo to our other sponsors, Spectrum Mobile and Hawaii USA FCU. For Hunter, I'm Jordan. Big shouts to our guy Jaron on the controls as well. This has been Hawaiʻi Football Now. We'll see you next week, everybody.
You've been listening to Hawaiʻi Football Now with Jordan Helle and Hunter Hughes, all from ESPN Honolulu.